Shalom, all praises to Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahushua, Ba'Shem HaKakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, great millstone, and rule well, and shalom to the brothers doing the work, sincerity and truth. Um, yeah, so you got this deal that's been done like yesterday with Russia and Ukraine, which, it's meant to be, well, it's the way it's been lauded, is like it's gonna stave off the famine, everyone basically getting obliterated and destroyed, by the lack of grain coming out of, well, grain, fertilizer, cooking oils, a few other things coming from chiefly Ukraine and Russia. And you know Russia and Ukraine are meant to agree to be like, okay, yeah, we're gonna let the grain come out. But I'll read it. So it's on AP News. It says a beacon of hope. Ukraine, Russia signed grain export deal. So Russia and Ukraine signed separate agreements Friday with Turkey and the UN, clearing the way for export of millions of tons of desperately needed Ukrainian grain, as well as some Russian grain and fertilizer across the Black Sea. The long-sought deal ends a wartime standoff that has threatened food security around the globe. Yeah, because there's already countries where, like, they're getting hella inflation. Sri Lanka going into a complete shit spiral, isn't fully based off, just the grain going, but it's kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back. And it's a sign, because with them, they stopped using fertilizer. Well, the fertilizer is something that's missing. They stopped using fertilizer, and I think they had less grain for like cattle and shit. When the fuck's it called, man? Russia and Ukraine basically went to war. So since that point in time, it's basically been a thing with them, where they kind of had it all stack up, and it got too much, and then the people just started fucking smashing their shit up. So it says around the globe. So the UN plan will enable Ukraine, one of the world's key breadbaskets, to export 22 million tons of grain and other agricultural goods that have been stuck in Black Sea ports due to Russia's invasion. So yeah, the ports, I believe, are controlled by Russia. So it's it's really down. Like, they can kind of lock it down at any turn, and I think they're kind of if the advantage is for them cease to be, then they'll just lock the shit up again. So it says, due to Russian invasion, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres called it a beacon of hope for millions of hungry people who have faced huge increases in the price of food. A deal that allows grain to leave the Black Sea ports is nothing short of life-saving for people across the world who are struggling to feed their families, said Red Cross Director General Robert Mardini. He noted that over the past 6 months, prices for food has risen 187% in Sudan, 86% in Syria, and 60% in Yemen, just to name a few countries. So yeah, it's a so-called third world where they're feeling the burn. They're getting fucked. So it says Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu and Ukrainian Infrastructure Minister Alexander Kubrakov signed separate and identical deals Friday with Guterres and Turkish Defense Minister Hulusi Akar at a ceremony in Istanbul that was witnessed by Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. Russia and Ukraine would not sign any deal directly with each other. So it says, today there's a beacon on the Black Sea, a beacon of hope, a beacon of possibility, a beacon of relief in the world that needs it more than ever. You'll see for how long, man. But let me read, because this is that's not the only impact on why inflation, food prices going up. Fuel as well is going to remain an issue, and fuel is something that is all trade. You're going to feel the burn from that fuel. So 2 Esdras 9:1, it says, he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, And when thou seest part of the signs pass, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it's the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. That's the reason why these things are compounding. Why, it's this is the reason why I say, Beacon Out is because this is the only so-called, good, so-called uh aspirational kind of thing that's happened, where they're like, oh, there might be hope, because otherwise it's everything is clearly on a decline. Recessions around the corner. The economy's contracting, trade's dying. You had all sorts of investments going bust. You had like the runaway kind of stocks, like tech stocks, tanking, and that's really what's got people on the edge. Not to mention, inflation, and they said, like, for the last few months, in America anyway, like, unemployment's been going down. But then it's I ain't even looked into it, but it's not even like it's weighted for people, like how many hours are people working, how much are they getting paid, like are people working and making enough? Because you have a lot of people where they're what do you call it? I'm gonna make it or not. A lot of people where they might be working, but they're just barely getting by, or they're below the poverty line. They're barely making enough to fucking eat. So it says, therefore, we're in the visible body man. So verse 3, therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of these things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. Yeah, uproars of the people. Because you had Sri Lanka popping off, them man going in, swimming in the former president or whatever the fuck, prime minister or whatever role it is, swimming in his pool, chugging his yak, smashing his shit and then going in there. So you have to fuck off out the country. Panama as well. You got Panama kicking off to where it's a thing with food as well. Them not having access to food. Them being unhappy with the leadership. Uproars of the people is the norm. And it's something you're going to see, continue to scale up, because why? It's the time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which you made. So it says what? And thou shalt well understand that the Most High, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of these things from the days that before thee, even from the beginning. For like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. Yeah, the end's manifest. That's why these things are occurring. That's why it's not, you're not going to have it, cool off. You're not going to have it slow down. It's something that's going to continue, and it's going to compound. So it says, so even so, the times the times also of the highest have plain beginnings in wonder and powerful works, and endings in effects and signs. And everyone that shall be saved and shall be able to escape by his works and by faith whereby ye have believed, shall be preserved from said perils, and shall see my salvation in my land and within my borders. For I have sanctified them for me from the beginning. So yeah, those are the elect. Those that have been elected for salvation, they're going to see it. But everyone else, they're going to be open to destruction, open to the judgment. And that's why you have, the Lord said, my servants will eat. But, you can have people out here, what they're going to be getting down with, man. Jeremiah 19:8. So it says what? And I will make this city desolate and a hissing. Everyone that passeth thereby shall be astonished and hiss because of all the plagues thereof. Yeah, Jake, getting absolutely destroyed. What happened in, the siege after the Romans came in and hemmed it up? It says, and I will cause them to eat the flesh of their sons and the flesh of their daughters, and they shall eat everyone the flesh of his friend in the siege and straitness. Yeah. Everyone's, yamming on the leg of their son, their daughter, of, the guy who lived next door. These are the extremes it's going to get pushed to. And as such, why is it, hey, this happening? It's because why? It's because it's the time of judgment. And that's how these things get down. When it hits that level of crisis, these things that, in the present day, when people can go Tesco and buy a fucking ready meal and microwave it, and then sit in front of the telly and watch Corrie. No, no one's thinking about eating Tay-Tay's leg. But, when people, it's been 4 days. They might have had some water, but they ain't had no food. Yeah, they've been sucking rainwater out of a sponge from the roof. Then what do you call it? It's gonna be like those Looney Tunes. Was it Looney Tunes? Looney Tunes, like Bugs Bunny, where they're looking at a guy and it just starts turning into a chicken leg. He starts turning into a steak. Cause why? That hunger is gonna drive people insane. That's why it's like, Sri Lanka's the example, because that's one. Panama is one. I ain't even checked up on Venezuela, but I'm pretty sure Venezuela's gonna be continuing as it's been. Because as far as for Venezuela, like they don't know salvation, over the hill. It's funny because one Venezuelan chick I work with, it's like her and her family just moved to Spain because they said, yeah, it was fucked. But there's hella people where they ain't even got the capability to do that. So it says what? You've overcome obstacles and put aside differences. We're back in the article. It says what? You've overcome obstacles and put aside differences to pave the way for an initiative that will serve common interests of all. Gutierrez described the deal as an unprecedented agreement between two parties engaged in a bloody conflict. Erdogan hoped it would be a turning point that will revive hopes for peace. Yet in Kiev, Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba sounded a more somber note. I'm not opening a bottle of champagne because of this deal, Kuleba told the AP. I will keep my fingers crossed that this will work, that ships will carry grain to world markets and prices will go down and people have food to eat. But I'm very cautious because I have no trust in Russia. So yes, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky echoed Kuleba's concerns in his nightly video address, saying it's clear to everyone that there may be some provocations on the part of the Russians, some attempts to discredit Ukrainian and international efforts, but we trust the UN. Yeah, so, everyone's happy. Everyone's... But, it's in reality, Russia can just overturn it at the drop of a hat. Because why now we're in the midst of the time, man? Read this. There's a hope for peace. We'll see. 1 Thessalonians 5 and start from 3. It says, for when they shall say peace and safety, then sun and destruction come upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. Yeah. Just, when you're thinking about peace, love, when, you listen to the fucking 80s music, it's like, everybody wants to, bro, they're just bare trying to peace and love the thing off. They're trying to, we are the world, come together and make everyone just love up. Bro, that's just not how it's gonna go down, man. They ain't gonna be how it's gonna be. Because why? Exodus 15 and 3. The Lord Yahweh is a man of war. The Lord Yahweh is his name. The Lord's a man of war. He gets down with war. He gets down with, conflict. And this is a matter of what? Judgment. This is the time where the Most High is beginning to visit the world he made. And that results in what? Everything going, the so-called dreams and hopes and aspirations. Everything's going to shit. For the average Joe. But yeah, I'll leave it there. Shalom. Shalom.